Welcome to Mindful Monday, where we explore life's challenges. Hi, and welcome. As we settle in today, in this moment, much is changing in the world. Governments around us are wanting to reopen, and people are moving to try to find some sense of normalcy and regain some sense of control in their lives and around those around them. So with that, we've talked about it a little bit before, and what comes with that. It's going to be frequently is uncertainty. And with uncertainty sometimes comes some sort of a tension or discomfort or aggravation or agitation inside the body or within our emotions. So we're going to be adding some skills to the tool bag so that when the uncertainty shows up is that we can notice it and we can name it and we can then lean in toward it. But then also creating something that can be useful out of the uncertainty. Being able to move forward from uncertainty with something that will benefit in the short haul or maybe even in the long haul. And then we'll end by learning a step-by-step practice and exercise that can be used at any time to help yourself make sense of whatever's going on. Sense making is right at the core of what we need to do as humans sometimes is we just want to understand why something's happening, what's going on, how it happened, something around that. Yeah, so sense making can be useful for us. So you're invited to keep watching to the end for that final skill. So now I invite you to settle in. Just notice the body sitting in its seated position or noticing your feet. Taking a deep cleansing breath and just settling into this moment. Allowing the body to breathe itself. Nothing to do other than breathe. Noticing each breath. One breath in, one breath out. You can do this with the eyes open or the eyes closed. Just taking gentle, kind care of yourself, finding a comfortable seated position. Simply noticing what's here. Now I invite you to just release awareness of that and what is showing up now. Stores are reopening, restaurants are opening again, they're adapting. When we go out, many communities are expecting individuals to wear face masks, yet not everybody does wear a face mask. Or you may have encountered somebody not wearing one properly, or maybe you yourself might find some wanting to shy away from wearing a face mask. That's just one of many things that might be changing in the world. It sets the stage for things aren't the way they used to be. And so much in the world and around the planet and the way we experience things, one thing that we can count on, and that is change. Very often we may not have been used to such drastic, sudden changes occurring across many horizons and in many realms. But one thing we can count on is change. And we adapt to change. It's the way we are. When we look in the mirror, when I look in the mirror and I see myself, I see Mark in the mirror. But the body that I see reflected back is not the body that I was born into. It's aged, it's grown, it's changed. Hair looks different. There's different wrinkles on the face. Yet it's still me. And when I sit with even me, I can even notice changes internally. The internal landscape of whatever's going on inside changes also. Not always the way expected, but invite you to just check in with yourself on how things have changed for you recently. and maybe taking your awareness back for 5 years and comparing what's here now to 5 years ago. Could you have predicted where you would be in this moment 5 years ago or 10 years ago? We often set about making plans and coming up with goals for 5-year plans, 10-year plans, 20-year plans, etc. And the planning is important, but oftentimes when we look backwards through the same time frame, we find out that our estimates of where we would be and what we would be doing were not really all that accurate 5 years ago or 10 years ago. Especially when we look at all the different landscapes that we have to navigate, the emotional ones, the psychological ones, the social ones, our connectedness, our economic ones. There's many others. So being able to check in with that and noticing on, even though we do plan, that when we look backwards, we weren't always perfect on predicting where we would be today. So some of the other stuff, it can be useful to bring up into awareness is that because we are experiencing a pandemic around a virus, medicine globally is predicting that we can expect it to be around for another year and a half, at least. And the medical scientists are not real comfortable in saying that it's going to be eradicated. Not all viruses get eradicated, but they are hopeful. They are inspiring that there may be a vaccine on its way, but even the vaccine won't be coming out until the earliest of late fall, early winter, or something like that. So with that continues to come more uncertainty. How do we continue to try to regain a sense of normalcy while there's a virus, an unseen bug floating around? A bug that may be different than all the other viruses and bacteria that we seem to navigate life through comfortably, and we get sick once in a while, we heal from it, etc. So the uncertainties that come with this are unpredictable. That's part of what makes them uncertain. But part of the unpredictability also is we don't know from which direction they're coming. And that also can start to generate some sort of an upset or a challenge that might be overwhelming. So oftentimes when we encounter uncertainties like this and things change drastically and suddenly, it's as though that we're thrust into this zone of discomfort. And it's like something's ripped away from us. And it can even be as though there's a loss or many losses on many fronts. When we lose somebody that we truly love, that's near and dear to us, we feel that loss deeply. And that wound requires time to heal. But it's palpable. It's something that we can lean into. But when we're in that depth of grief and bereavement, we fall into this zone that some people refer to as a liminal space. And liminal space is used in all sorts of disciplines, but I just want to kind of talk to you a little bit about what liminal space is. We borrow the term from anthropology, from architecture. It shows up in a variety of areas. But liminal, in essence, when we look backwards at the word, going back into the ancient times, means threshold. When we encounter something like a loss and something's ripped away from us and we're grieving not having it here or all the changes that have to come as a result of the loss, whether it's a loss of a loved one or something else, we fall into this place where one is we're being forced into a transition, one that we didn't plan for, that we didn't see coming. And now we're having to transition to something else, something different. And that transition at some point can turn into a transformation. So this is the opportunity. This is the uncertainty that shows up, is we have a choice of what do we do? How do we make this transformation in a way that can be useful? Except that it's challenging, it's painful, it hurts, it brings sadness and disappointment and a variety of other emotions. And there's all sorts of ways that liminal space shows up. So it's not always around something like the death of a loved one. There are simpler ones. The word means threshold. It also gets translated into sill. like a door sill or a windowsill. It's moving from one place into another. A concrete example of liminal space. Stepping out of a swimming pool. The body's wet, the feet is wet, and we step onto the dry concrete and make footprints on the concrete as we walk away. The farther away we walk away from the water, the footprints become harder and harder to discern as the bottoms of the feet are drying off. And over time, even the wet footprints will evaporate, will dry up, and will disappear as we look backwards across space toward the pool, the source of the wetness, and the footprints are drying up as we move away from them. So there's a transition, there's a transformation. And as we move out of the wetness into the dryness, we're getting further and further away from it. That's just one example. Noticing the difference between day and night. There's a space there where there's a zone where we're still in the night and we're in the day at the same time. And something comes with daylight. If you're out and about and at sunrise and right before sunrise, the world starts waking up. Birds start coming awake and chirping, and other movement starts to occur in the world. And it's a gradual transformation from day to night, and something in the opposite direction happens from night to day. Liminal space shows up in many places. It's simply a transition from one known area to an unknown. And that's where we're at now. We are moving from the known, our normal daily routine. We were going to work or we weren't. We were able to go to the store when we wanted to. We could, if we needed something, we could just go get it. There's lots of aspects of our life that were known, and then drastically, it's almost like the flip of a switch. A couple months ago, things changed, and now there's lots of unknown that's present. So it heightens our intensity of our experience, but it also invites something, and that aspect that it invites is creativity. It allows us to adapt in a way that maybe we hadn't envisioned in so many different areas. And this is where the transformation happens, when we can turn toward it, noticing we've moved in from the known, but a new known is not present yet. We're creating it. We're trying to figure it out. We're trying to establish what is going to be our new habitual habits that we engage with. And you may already notice that if you're social distancing and staying at home a lot, there might be new norms generating around that. Those of you that are still working, going out into the environment, you may be finding that you're establishing new norms around that. Simplistically, like keeping 6 foot distance between yourself and another person, wearing a face mask maybe, or other personal protective equipment. There's lots of other behavioral changes that you might be noticing that you've adapted, and now they're starting to feel normal. They don't feel unusual anymore, with lots of repetition. So when we do it by design, sometimes it's different than when it's forced upon us. So part of what we get to do then when we're finding ourselves in these liminal spaces is say, okay, how do I move through this? This is hard. This is painful. Maybe there's some boredom or some sadness and some grief, and some anger. It's like, okay, well, that's here. We've got lots of practices that we can do when difficult emotions show up. Except we don't always pay attention to, well, what am I transitioning to? Where am I transitioning from? What is changing? And if that's what we can do, is we can name it, we can settle in with it, say, oh yeah, that's what this is. I can do this. This is how I want to be when I come through this. This is who I want to be. We can maintain our sense of self and our sense of identity as we navigate these tough times. Some other aspects that show up with liminal space then is, as we're leaving behind, we're having to let go. We're having to let go of various aspects, maybe belief systems, maybe tangible things. Many of us may have already let go of a lot of tangible things in the form of finances and investments. We've had to let go of relationships and connectivity in a way that we're used to having them present. letting go of all sorts of things. There's a story that comes out of Thailand that, for whatever reason, some people like to capture monkeys. My understanding is that monkeys kind of have a free roam of certain areas in Thailand. So to capture a monkey, the trapper will take a coconut and hollow out the coconut and place a piece of banana inside the coconut. One of the monkeys will come along, reach inside the coconut and grab the banana, forming a fist around the banana. And now the monkey can't get his fist out of the coconut. And it creates all sorts of tension and distress within the monkey, alerting the trappers that they've trapped one. Then they come in and now they've got their monkey. All the monkey needed to do was to let go of the banana, to pull his or her hand out, to relieve their own tension, and also to remain free. We cling to bananas, we cling to things, we grasp at things all the time. And that also is what's showing up when liminal space is present, is we'll cling and grasp to, this is the way things are supposed to be. If only I would have, or if I would have done this or that. It's not being able to let go of a belief about something, or could be even a tangible item, not being able to let it go, to give ourselves our own relief. And with that letting go is part of the loss. Loss is full of opportunities for us to evaluate what it is that we are clinging to and what's happening when we bring them along with us. Yeah, it'll show up in all sorts of ways. It shows up as anger, shows up as resentments, can show up as contempt. All sorts of difficult emotions can show up as a sign to us that we are clinging or grasping at something that's out of the past, and we're having a difficult time bringing it along with us moving into the future. Like the footprints on the concrete. You can't go back and hang on to those footprints. They are going to evaporate and they will change over time. We can take snapshots of them, we can take photographs of them, we can commit them to memory, we can recall them, but we can't bring them with us. We have to leave them behind us to make new ones in front of us. So letting go is an important aspect, but to know what it is that we're letting go of, and that starts to bring in the idea of attachments. What are we attached to? And currently, right now, with the pandemic present, so many of us are finding that we've been attached to things that we've been forced to release, to let go of, and we're doing okay. We're still alive. Every once in a while, when we turn toward the things that we are attached to, the things, the people, the ideas, the beliefs, we have an opportunity to evaluate what really is important to us. And it's those things that are important to us that we can bring along with us through the transformation while we're transitioning. As we evaluate it, we can let go of it also. We can experience our own sense of loss and grief around what the things that we've let go of, the people that we've let go of, so we can move into the future changed, different. And that change and that difference is the one aspect that we do have control over. So much what gets taken away from us when things happen beyond our control is a sense of control. A sense of empowerment is stripped away. And we start to find out that we really don't have control over all that much. We only believe we do, which is another belief system. It's an attachment that goes away that can also be problematic for us when it's not there. Liminal space. It's a transitional from one zone to another, one world to another. If you've ever changed jobs, the transition of one job to the next, or if you've lost a job, you've been fired or laid off. Another example of a liminal space, we're moving from one way of being to another, one sense of known to the not known. And that can be scary. It's scary and fear, and we can navigate life with those. They don't have to hobble us. They don't have to stop us in our tracks for too long. We can use it. We can use it to move forward, to motivate ourselves to do something different. The practice, the skill that I talked about at the beginning, it's borrowed from the trauma world. Peter Levine, he's a psychologist. He offers this, it's an acronym. S is in Sam, I, B is in boy, A, M. The S is turning toward, and I invite you to do it now with me as we just go along, turning toward the interior sensory awareness that's going on. Simply noticing where your hands are in relationship to the rest of the body. Noticing where your feet are. If you're lying down, there's an orientation to the body. If you're sitting up or standing up, there's an orientation. We have the ability to tune into that and notice it. That's proprioceptive sensations. Then we can also tune into our kinesthetic sensations. Is there any muscle movement going on? Are we moving? And sometimes if we're just sitting still, there's still constantly movement going on inside the body. And we can notice that. We can draw awareness to it. The diaphragm will be expanding and contracting with each breath. We can pause it. We can invite it to not move for a while we hold our breath, either on the intake or on the out breath. But the diaphragm typically is moving. And with the diaphragm moving are other muscles within the thorax and the chest and the abdomen. There's a lot of movement going on inside the body that we can turn our awareness to. But then we got muscle movements, hand movements. If you're smiling, there's movements that create the smile muscles, or talking, vocal cords. There's all sorts of movements within the body that we can notice. Then there's visceral sensations. Paying attention to what's going on inside the guts. It's a level of awareness that's a deep awareness that as we pay attention to it, we can notice subtleties. We can notice the bowels moving, the stomach gurgling, the heart muscle pumping, the lungs inflating and deflating. There's all sorts of movement and other sensations that come up out of the body into awareness once we pay attention to it. There's also the vestibular sensations, a sense of balance, a sense of acceleration or deceleration, a sense of stillness. We can direct awareness to it. These are all areas just within the S of that acronym of SABAM. Then we can move into the I of SABAM, and that's the imaging or imagining what's showing up through the eyes, the light, the shapes, the colors, the textures that we are able to see through our eyes. But the other four primary senses that we're so familiar with. What sounds are available to us? Internal sounds, external sounds, human sounds, mechanical sounds, nature sounds, loudness, softness, pitch, tone, rapidity of sound. There's all sorts of qualities to it. Close sounds, far away sounds. We can pause on listening and on sound. So we've got the sight sensations, the hearing sensations, touch sensation. Anything coming up into awareness through the skin, the awareness of moisture, of pressure, of tingling, of tickling, of burning, of pain. All sorts of sensations coming through the skin. Skin exposed to air, skin covered by clothing. The entire body's covered by skin. So touch sensation can be useful to pay attention to. It's always available to us. Then there's the sense of smell and the sense of taste. The sense of smell is the only one of the five senses that goes directly into the amygdala past the olfactory bulb. All the other senses are processed in another region of the brain before they get to the amygdala, the emotional center of the region of the brain. It can be useful to notice that I can smell something, or something, when I smell it, it can remind me of something from the past. And we can turn toward that and engage with it and start to make sense of it. Then the B of SABAM is behaviors. What am I doing? What was I doing when I thought of that thing? We can use SABAM in a lot of scenarios, but just what are my behaviors right now? The B for behaviors. What's going on? What am I doing? Am I sitting still? Am I moving? Was I moving right before I remembered this memory that now I'm going to do some work around? Then the A is affect. What emotions do you have going on? Checking in, naming them if you can name them, noticing that there might be emotions present. And then the M is the sense-making part. Meaning. What does it mean to me that all this is present now? Going through all those internal sensations, the 5 basic sensations, the behaviors and the affect, the emotions. What's it mean to me now that it's here? And this is the meat of all of this, is every time we turn toward trying to create a positive meaning for ourselves, even when we're experiencing difficulty or sadness. But oftentimes when we turn inward, we start finding that we're also experiencing joy and happiness and pleasure and connectivity and love and all sorts of positive emotions also. They show up in the body also. We go, oh, what's that mean? That's here also. And as we keep tweaking our meaning, this is where the transformation of the liminal spaces starts to emerge. We're becoming the person we want to be, not the one that somebody says we're supposed to be or that circumstances is trying to shove us into. And it also gives us opportunity to make different choices. So each time we navigate through whatever's here now and we turn toward the meaning-making piece of it, it gives us a sense of platform that we can step off from into the next moment and to continue on. The Sabam model, there's going to be a link to it posted down below in the description area. You can download it and you can examine it and you can apply it throughout the day, throughout the week. You can practice it on even when something else isn't showing up, but when things do show up, difficulty or pleasantness, you can visit Sabam on the fly. It doesn't take long with practice and awareness. Oh yeah, what's going on? And we can do a real quick scan of what's going on and say, that's what this is meaning to me now. I invite you once again to settle in and take a deep breath. Allowing the body to soften. As you do this, drawing into awareness a person, a being, that when you think of this person, it tends to bring a smile on your face. Imagine this person being with you now, standing in front of you, sitting next to you. Imagine there's a space between you and this person, but they're present. And sending loving and kind wishes to this person. You can use my words or words of your own. May you experience joy in the roots of joy. May you live with equanimity, balance, and peace. May you live with ease, free of suffering. The invitation now is to invite other people to join this person. It could be friends, family, neighbors, co-workers. Whatever feels comfortable, inviting as many people into the group in a way that feels comfortable. Sensing that they're all present, even if they're hundreds or thousands of miles away, sensing their presence now. May you all experience joy in the roots of joy. May you all remain free of harm and with health. May you live with equanimity, balance, and peace. May you all live with ease, free of suffering. The invitation now is to grow this group a little further. many people that are possibly engaged with this practice also have some connection with public safety. Expanding this group to all public safety. The firefighters, the police officers, the paramedics, the lifeguards, all the dispatchers, all the support staff who are engaged around the globe providing public safety. A long, extended public safety family. The invitation also is to possibly expand this even further to include medical providers, doctors and nurses, and all their staff also. And the families of the public safety workers and the medical providers also across the globe. May you all experience joy and the roots of joy. May you all remain free of harm. May you all live with equanimity, balance, and peace. May you all live free of suffering and with strength of heart, courage, and find ease in your difficulties. The invitation now is to imagine this large group of friends and family and co-workers and public safety and medical providers and their families also, all turn toward you and offer you loving kindness, opening your heart to receive it. May you, meaning you, experience joy and the roots of joy. May you remain free of harm and with health. May you experience equanimity, balance, and peace. May you live with ease and find relief in your pain and sorrows and experience courage, strength of heart. You are not alone.